What is going on, everyone? Let's take a look at the Cornhusker State, Nebraska. Nebraska is exactly what people mean when they say flyover state. This is also a state of denial. I made reference to this state as being a nice, quiet place to live in a previous video, and about a dozen or so people try and explain to me that Nebraska goes off. Like they know how to party. That's one guy said, we know how to party here in Nebraska. Another guy said I must never have been to a tractor pull if I think Nebraska's boring. My response was, you must never have been to the Whiskey on Sunset in Hollywood, California, or at a beach in Southern California, or even out of Nebraska if you think a tractor pull is exciting. Nebraska is ranked 16th in size, 37th in population. The Cornhusker State was admitted into the Union on March 1st, 1867, making it the 37th state. It's right here in case you don't know. Nebraska is about middle of the road when it comes to population growth in the United States. They had a small growth of about 5% from the 2010 census to 2017. Not a lot of people move in or out of Nebraska. Most of the growth can be attributed to the birth rate. If you're thinking about increasing the Cornhusker population, you should probably watch my top 10 reasons not to move to Nebraska. Number 10. It sucks. Don't move here. It sucks. Number 9. Allergies. The state is filled with farms and open fields. Unless you live in a major city, you probably live next to a farm. This is a reoccurring theme on my Midwest videos because it's a fact. Allergies are brutal. If you don't suffer from them, consider yourself blessed. People like myself who suffer from allergies, there's about 4 months a year that are frickin' brutal. Nebraska is rough on allergy sufferers. One of the worst, I'd say. Springtime is usually a cause for celebration, not if you suffer from allergies. Number 8. It's boring. Don't move here. It's boring. Number 7. Cinnamon rolls and chili. Nebraskans have some pretty funky food combinations. For some reason, they've decided that cinnamon rolls and chili go together. Now, it's pretty nasty if you think about it. You might as well have some cotton candy with the Clamato chaser. And no, the good people at Clamato are not paying me to say that. Now, if you're about to tell me you've never heard of this, you've lived in Nebraska your whole life, and this isn't a thing, and I'm lying, stop typing. I have a couple places that you could find this weird little combination. In Lincoln, Nebraska, you have Cook's Cafe on North 66 and Dudley, and Lead Belly on North 8th and Q Street. Go to their website, look at their menu, you'll find it on the menu. I love when people always tell me that. I've lived here my whole life, I've never heard of that. Well, get out more is my first thing. And second, keep in mind, I wasn't specifically talking to you when I made this video. Number 6. No professional sports. Adding on to the boredom stat, there's no professional sports in Nebraska. No NFL, no NBA, no Major League Baseball, and no NHL. Because of this, you'll just sit at your next door neighbors, dress like a corn on the cob, and root on the Cornhuskers on Saturdays. And Sundays, of course, are taken up by Tornado Watch. They do go big on their college sports. Like I said, the Cornhuskers are big in Nebraska, and apparently so are tractor pulls. But when it comes to professional sports, they don't have anything, unless, of course, you consider Ultimate Frisbee a professional sport. You know, really, if you have to explain to people what qualifies you as a professional athlete, you're really not a professional athlete. I get the feeling they have that conversation a couple times a month. Number 5. It's flat. Nebraska is a very flat state, regardless of what the residents tell you. Their lowest point is 840 feet above sea level at the Missouri River, while their highest point is only 5,400 feet at Panorama Point. Basically, it's a large hill. However, the residents will tell you how amazing the mountains in the state are. Yeah, it's really not a thing. If anyone starts telling you they have mountains in Nebraska, check their medication. Number 4. Republican. Whether you lean blue or you lean red, it's good to know Nebraska is very Republican. The governor, senators, and representatives, they're all Republican. The last time the state voted for a Democrat was 1964, and that was for Lyndon B. Johnson. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying that if this bothers you, keep it in mind before you move to Nebraska. It's very conservative Republican. To me, this doesn't matter. I've never cared how anyone else votes. I only care how I vote. But to some people, it does. At least going the other direction for sure. If you read any of the comments of any of the videos I did about liberal states or anything like that, it's filled with poorly written statements about, I would never live in a liberal cesspool like that. What's funny about that is they all say the same thing over and over. It's like I've said before, they must go to a website filled with political comebacks and they just copy and paste them all day. It's the same thing. About a year ago, some politician said that to think global warming is man-made, the hubris of that. Use the word hubris. Oh my God, it's like every single comment was the hubris hubris of this. I've said that before, but it's just ridiculous. It's like they latch on to the new talking point and just run with it. And that goes both ways, not just Republican. Number 3. The weather. The weather in the Cornhusker State can get pretty rough. Like all the other Midwestern states I've talked about, it can be pretty brutal. In the winter, it'll snow for months, and it can be 4 months until temperatures get above freezing. The summers can get extremely hot, above 100, and the humidity makes everything feel even worse and sticky. And yes, they get tornadoes as well. Stop typing. You get them. Nobody believes you when you say they don't. If you haven't seen one, you're probably 11. Number 2, gonorrhea law. Now this one falls under strange laws, kind of. It's just weird. This is mainly an effort to prevent the spread of the disease. However, while you live in Nebraska, if you've been diagnosed with gonorrhea, you may not get married, even if you got the disease from your potential spouse. You gotta get that cleared up before you get hitched. I mean, it's probably a really good idea to do things this way. You don't want your new wife to have that bad doctor's appointment 2 weeks into her new marriage. And trust me, that is an awkward breakfast conversation, I can assure you. And number 1, the middle of frickin' nowhere. Chances are, unless you live in the city, you probably live in the middle of nowhere if you live in Nebraska. The middle of nowhere tends to suck unless you really hate people. I mean, if you really hate people, it's a solid place to be. In Nebraska, there's only 2 major cities, Omaha and Lincoln. And by major city standards, they really aren't. I live in Portland, Oregon, and their 2 biggest cities together are about as big as Portland. And Portland is considered a medium city. Most of the rest of the state is comprised of towns and smaller towns that are all about 5 miles away from each other and are probably only going to have 1 public school, a bar, 1 criminal, a Walmart that's shared between 2 or 3 other little towns, and that's it. This state is a little bit on the sparse side as far as population goes. So if you like having people around, don't move to the Cornhusker State. There's not many people there. Alright, so that's my top 10 reasons not to move to Nebraska. I hope you guys liked it. Hope you got some information out of it. Don't forget all the links below. Click them, leave me a comment, subscribe if you already haven't. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.